Let's talk about the conversation you had. So what happened?
Gotta.
What happened? What
So
happened? The
for
floor is
all of
yours. Get
y'all
the
in the
feet ready.
chat that didn't tune into the stream, and you didn't because there's 900 of y'all in here. There was like 70 in my chat. All right, you should have been there. But I had Khalif, Sweet Booty Adams on, and Paris, Ballhead Mr. Clean on. They were on to have the conversation because they wanted to address me calling him Sweet Booty Adams and all the other things that I've probably said in other videos. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll let you guys on. We could talk about it. Sure. So originally, when I was talking to Paris in the DMs, I kept saying us. And he was like, who's us? And I was like, oh, me and Atreus, because that's who I stream with. We were going to do it on New Black Street instead of my channel. And he was like, oh, well, no, I don't want to. Then if he's gonna be on there, then no, then I don't want to have a conversation with him. Basically said Atreus was too toxic to be on the stream with us. And my whole thing was I could have been toxic when you hit me up. You never know until you hit him up. Right. So I was like, okay. And then I hit Atreus back. I let him know what happened. He's like, yeah, do the stream anyway. I'm like, cool, we do the stream. So we had the stream today where we were talking and I was asking them questions about the gaming landscape and everything going on with Gamergate and how they feel about certain things. And I will give credit where credit is due. Of both of them, Paris was more reasonable. When he was making his points, I was going, okay, I can understand where you're coming from with that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that's cool or whatever. But the best part of the entire stream was when Hypnotic was in the chat, and I'm watching these dudes talk. You know, I give them the floor to have their conversation, and Hypnotic would type something, and you could see their face. They would go every time, like when somebody types something in the chat, and I just let them talk because again, it was an open dialogue thing where it's like I'm gonna ask them questions, and I want everybody to see these people on the side that we don't get to see. I want them to expose themselves and say the things that they really want to say. And in letting them do so, it kept reaffirming everything that I felt like. Yeah, I had to put myself a nice picture on there
just so people have an understanding of what you're talking about. Because I don't just want to talk and they don't know who.
Yeah, so we had a stream, and it was me asking both of them questions, them coming to me about the things that they didn't like and things like that. And like I said, I will give Paris his credit. Whenever he would say things, he would be like, this is how I feel, and this is how I'm saying it. And the things that he would say echo a lot of the things that we say. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you your credit where that's due. Because he came to the same conclusion we come with the don't force diversity thing. He's like, he doesn't like that. It just, all it does is it turns people off, which is the entire point of what anybody ever says. Right. So I'm like, okay,
I got words about that too, but I'll let you cook and then let Atreus speak after because I want to get his opinion on like that whole,
we get
like,
to,
you know,
Khalif, right? And I stopped really like taking him serious when he said that he was always right. When he said that, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to ask you certain questions just to see if you're going to say exactly what I think you're going to say. And then when I asked him the questions, he said exactly what I thought he was going to say, which is double down, triple down on the things that he believes and stuff like that. And long story short, whenever I would ask him something, he would come off from the high and mighty road where he's better than you and he thinks that he knows more than you. And, you know, you don't have to, he doesn't have to pay you attention because you're not smart. Your opinion isn't smart. He said he's not going to unblock Smash JT because he's not a smart person or whatever. And everybody in the chat, rightfully so, was like, who are you to determine what is smart or not? Or who are you to determine who these individuals are if you don't interact with them and things like that? So it was great to just let them sit there and talk and just expose themselves for who they really are. And my major complaint was when they were saying that they wouldn't talk to somebody that doesn't have a face, like they use as an avatar. They wouldn't talk to Atreus because they think he's toxic, or you know, they wouldn't talk to Ryan because they think he's racist and stuff. It's like, okay, you're 2 out of 3. people.
You're not paying attention.
I'm not gonna tell you which one you're right on, but
I will, Brian.
A trash.
And it's like, all in all, I thought it was a pretty good stream. You know, we got some insight into things, and they were also, I wouldn't say Paris was specifically, but Khalif definitely was tap dancing around the actual issue. And then when we would address it, he would take the stance of, you know, he feels like he doesn't need to talk about it because, you know, these people aren't intelligent enough to have that conversation or whatever. And he kept saying things like that during the entire time, which just kept reaffirming what I'm saying, which is that's why we don't listen to you, because you don't know how to have the actual dialogue and you're not listening to understand, you're listening to respond. And that's why I'm just like, okay, well, I gave you the floor. You've let everybody see who you are as a person and what you think. He also thinks that forced diversity is cool, which is stupid. But it's like, okay, that's what you think. I'm gonna let you have the floor and explain that. So
I think out of the shills, Booty Adams is definitely the bigger one for sure.
Yeah,
not just physically, but just.
I was about to say, you mean literally, right? Like,
not just literally. Like actually, he's the bigger shill out of the two. You know, Mr. Clean's not that far behind, but you know, Booty Adams.
Okay,
is definitely...
I gotta ask you a question because I want to know if it was just a thing of the camera and whatnot. Because you obviously used that picture, Paris out there looking fucking built and shit. Then when I was watching the stream, homie looked tiny. He looked shrunken. Like, was that an old picture? Because there's no way his arms were not that fucking big.
Of course, it was an old picture, man.
Nah,
what kind of question is that?
He's pretty tall, man. He's pretty.
I'm not talking about tall. I'm talking about shrunken. Like his.
No,
arms
like
he's
a pretty tall, big guy. Yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah.
Maybe it was just the camera angle thing. Because I was like, what the fuck?
Keep in mind, Leon's like 120 pounds.
I know.
Yeah, he doesn't know what.
134 pounds. Thank you.
Jesus
Close enough.
Christ! How are you that thin?
Holy shit! So
I haven't been that small since like fucking middle school. What the hell?
let's focus on the actual 19. Conversation. So, the fact that they wouldn't want to talk to me, okay, no problem, saw that. That was obvious, right? But the whole like not wanting to talk to Atreus thing kind of blew my mind. That's kind of why I was trying to antagonize him so much. Not because I was trying to get on the show, but genuinely I wanted to get Atreus up there, and I just felt like it's a bitch move, right? Yeah. To try to set up a 2v1 conversation. Not that I think Kata can't handle himself, but I just think it's kind of ridiculous to try to speak from a place of maybe moral superiority or just overall intellectual superiority, because that's really what Booty Adams was trying to do. He was trying to speak from an intellectual superiority place the entire time. But then you have another guy behind you, right, who is much bigger than you, much taller than you, much everything. Like you have that other presence behind you, and you're talking to someone who doesn't have that. So you should at least have an like even playing field. And to use the excuse of toxicity as the reason why, or just not knowing the person, I think that's kind of crazy. You know, I mean, you stream with Atreus all the time. So if he could speak to you, surely you know, should be able to speak to Atreus too. I mean, but Atreus, you can speak for yourselves. I'm not trying to speak for you. Just whatever you might have thought about that.
I mean, you know, the only thing I had a problem with, like, if they don't want to speak to me, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Remember, Kata's only been making content, haven't even been a year yet, I don't believe. Mm-hmm. So right. I mean, I've been on their neck for at least a year and a half. So I mean, I'm not really surprised. What I have a problem with is that most of the stuff that they had an issue with was from stuff that came out of the mouth of me and Hypnotic. And so my thing is, how can you say, because what, you know, Khalif Adams said was he wanted to address the thing specifically that Kata did. Okay, so you addressed Sweet Booty Adams at the beginning of the stream. Everything else was what me and Hypnotic have said. So why would you keep me off the stream? So I couldn't come on there and defend myself. I'm a little bit, the shit that's funny about them labeling me the toxic one is I'm way less toxic than Kata and Hypnotic. I looked at the situation as there's a added layer of respect onto the conversation just by the sheer fact that you're willing to come have it. So I had intended on retiring the Sugar Bear name anyway. And I don't think I haven't clowned Paris too much. I've definitely called his opinions dumb at some point, but I've never really clowned him. But he also said he always comes to the defense of Sugar Bear. So it's obvious that they were upset that I had called into question Sugar Bear's sexuality. And, you know, that's fine. but I'm here to entertain my audience. And where I came from, roasting was just a thing. You might call it bullying out there in California. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a lack of testosterone and a whole lot of estrogen out there.
Why were they so bothered by you questioning his sexuality? What did you say he was?
No, I just said I never even questioned his sexuality. I just said he looked.
It was me who really did it.
On Google, bro. Like I don't care what nobody say.
It was really me who did it. I called him sweet. He looked sweet. You know.
No, but I said the same thing. I said he looked like.
Isn't that trendy though?
There's another word.
God.
Oh, hey, look! Don't get. I about to say, don't get on my do rag, man. My do rag is.
I mean, I said many times he looks like a cross between Greg Miller and Uncle Phil.
That ain't the picture that.
They look like a gay couple.
Wait, shut up, nigga. Shut up.
He's right.
There's a very specific picture on Google. There's a couple of them, but there's one that's very specific where that nigga's giving the most Winnie Hut Jr.'s looking smile while he's on the set at either Spawnies or Kinda Funny, and it looked zesty. It is what it is. And my audience clowns me for being in Atlanta all the time, saying or doing something zesty. It is what it is. No, I understand. Like I'm intelligent to understand that the world doesn't revolve around me and my experience. So I get it. If y'all are so upset by the things that I say and you don't want to have a conversation, that's fine. But don't come on the stream getting upset and wanting answers from Kata about shit that me and Hypnotic have said. And that's my only issue. If I was to talk to Paris, I'd give him 10 minutes to speak his grievance. I agree with his assessment of I don't want to talk to him on stream because I want to talk to him behind closed doors first because it might get nasty and they don't want that all out in public, which coming from the industry that they're coming from, of course you don't want that out in public. That's why I said what I said, which I respect that part of it. But at the same time, I've reached out to you multiple times and he's yet to respond yet. So if I reached out to him and I don't want to go too crazy on the stream because somebody tagged me earlier and was like, oh, I want to see Hypnotic and Atreus ripping to them. I'm not going to do that yet. But if I go the next 2 days after I done reached out to you and then Kata done told you I reached out to you and you ain't responded, it's gonna be a good time on NinjaCast.
Open season.